soundtrack.
God bless, we're breaking these runs. Life too short to play it on speed run. Only get one, no option to rerun. With Babylon goes too high to reach them. Down to earth, stay grinding when storms come. Rat race, only one to run from. Better say cheese, but saying split in the funds. Living in the moment, I ain't worried about none. I'm straight chillin', back against the wall, too acquainted with the feeling. Like you lost tomorrow, find a way if I'm willing. Only fear God, not spreading his lost children. Price on my head, exported a few trillion. Doing side missions, whatever I'm feeling. I'm built different, cruise with no ceiling.
Welcome back to the LD Show. I'm Luis.
I'm Dennis.
And if this is your first time, welcome. And if you're returning, thank you so much.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave your comments.
Please also share with your friends and family members. Help us, help them, and share all our experiences and stuff like
Absolutely. I want to give a shout out to our town, Homestead, to my community, to the people all over. Hey, welcome. Thank you again for following us.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for everybody's support. We saw a lot of comments. A lot of people got back to us with a lot of information, and we feel blessed that a lot of people watch the show. A lot of people called us personally and gave
It's a great start. It's a great start. And with God's will, thank you, God, right? Number one, thank you, God, definitely, 100%.
Yeah, we definitely want to start off with that. Thank you.
So let's recap from the last episode. Let's talk about the eggs. No. Yeah, we're not gonna jump on that one. That's too long, right?
Well,
Easter's right around the corner.
Yeah, right. Easter.
These darn eggs.
Yeah, man. I remember when I was young, I was always so excited about Easter because, it's crazy how I don't have too many memories as a kid of going to the beach when it wasn't Easter. Most of my memories as a kid.
Don't tell me your parents hid it in the sand. No.
No, it's not that. It's Easter for us as kids was we're gonna go to the beach all day as a family. Not just as a whole family. You're talking about cousins and uncles and all that stuff. So you're talking 20 plus kids, all your family members and friends all at the beach at the same time. This only happened one time a year. My dad would take us to the beach as a more immediate family. But that was different because all my cousins weren't there and things like that.
You had a family reunion, right?
Yeah. So it was a family reunion at the beach. And we used to go to Crandon Park, Virginia Key, John Penny Camp, things like that. And it was a huge thing. So I remember specifically one year that I was so excited. I was super excited about the next day, man. That, my mom told me to go to sleep, this and that. I went to my room. Bro, I put my clothes on for the next day and my shoes. And I got into bed and I covered myself with a blanket.
I thought you were going to say you did a Home Alone.
No. I was so ready to go to the beach that I was already dressed the day before. Mm-hmm. And I had my shirt on, I had my shorts on, I had my shoes on. I was so excited, man. And when I woke up, kids that are little kids usually don't want to wake up for school. Man, I was up by 5 a.m. I was ready to go. I was ready to go. And I specifically remember that because I could still remember me putting on my clothes at 10 o'clock at night. And I'm about to get into bed. And I was I can't wait. I was excited. That's a memory that's always going to stay with me.
No, that's good. That's a happy memory, right? Yeah. Something you remember. And I'm sure that during Easter, the beach, you remember all your cousins, everything you guys did,
I have
right?
so many memories of, oh my God. It was just that's the thing. I don't know about me. My memories are so clear sometimes that they feel like they just happened. It's like a memory from yesterday.
So you usually recall your happiest memory or something that impacted you in life. So you can recall it with no problem, and it's clear.
Crystal clear. It's crystal clear. If it happened yesterday, it's I could still smell the water. That's how clear it is. I could still. We used to play football. I could still feel the sand on the football. I don't know, for some reason, my mind not only captures the visuals, but I can still hear the birds and feel the football, the rubber on the football, and the smell of the day. I guess my brain just takes all the senses and they capture that memory. Really good. And for a lot of memories, I have that with thousands of memories. And I guess that is kind of like why I decided I wanted to be a film director, because I live in my memories as if they were like reels, as if they were happening now today, but those memories could be 20 plus years, and I can just sit there, remember them, and it's like if it happened yesterday. It's crazy. I mean, I don't remember everything like that, but I do remember a lot of things, and they're crystal clear. Like I could remember like the shirts people had on. I could remember like
your AI thing. I think you're like an AI.
no,
I can't remember the shirt.
It's weird like that. I have a lot of memories where I can remember specific stuff, and it's weird, random, specific stuff. It's not just like because it stands out I can remember it. It's more like I could remember if that guy was eating a pickle. Like it was weird because I guess we're just recording everything as we're living it.
I mean, like I said, our brain is like a computer, right?
Yeah,
but
definitely. Family trips, all that stuff.
No, it's funny because we used to have the same thing, and we didn't only just do it on holidays, but my grandma, my grandfather, my dad, my mom. It's 5 of us in my family plus my cousins. Yeah. So usually you're looking about 15 people, family members going to the beach, and it was fun because my dad, he would grill or they would make sandwiches, or my grandma come out with her Tupperware. I'm like, no, I don't buy food,
Yeah.
I already brought food. Yeah. But it was great. We'll stay till the sun go down, Yeah. And as we got older, it kind of went away because, us as teenagers, we don't want to hang around our adults. We know better than our parents. But I do remember those times. Those were really, really great times. Those things I can look back, and there's things that I took from that, and I adopted it to my children as well, right? To my daughters, And I hope that they also remember and they also continue that, with their family. Because, family together time with the family is always great. Bonding with the family is always great because there's a lot of families out there who don't bond. And the family tends to separate, even though they're still family, but they separate, they fall. And I feel like my family did that, I feel that, there was a part as we became adults, me and my brothers, we kind of like separated because we all went our own individual ways, right? But I think now recently we've been closer little by little. We got closer and closer together. Yeah, we have our own family. We have our own things going on in our lives, but we still try to reach out to each other, And that family time, that bonding time is great, because it teaches us and it teaches our children, our nephews, our nieces, our daughters. So for me, family time is very important and it should be important to every other family because it keeps the family together. We're all going to have issues, right? We're all going to have our problems, There's no perfect family, right? But keeping that bond together is going to be there so we can support each other, Our children are going to see that, how uncles, brothers, and sisters, they still bond. Even though we have our issues, we still help each other out, That's what it's for, right? We're all blood.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, those memories impacted me, very positive way. I mean, even now that I carry those memories, those childhood memories, I feel like that was a time that, like, if you don't have those moments with your family, it's very hard to, I mean, of course, like some people get together like with like family parties and family gatherings and like cookouts and other holidays, Christmas and things like that. But if you don't have the ones that I've had, it's hard for you to see that perspective when I kind of like explain it because it's hard to explain like all the emotions as a kid. I mean, now as an adult, like like the value of it, but as a kid, it kind of like, like the beach and like cookouts and your family there and all that stuff. It was almost like magical. It was a day that you had even more fun than going to, one of the parks, in Orlando and things like that. It was something like, I mean, it's memories that you carry on for the rest of your life because that's how special they were, And other people who have done that and might have not seen it the same way. You know what I mean? They're like, yeah, we went to the beach and that's it. Do you remember? Nah, I don't remember. So, but they'll tell you, but I do remember me and my family getting together for Thanksgiving. I do have those.
Yeah, because those are the memories that imprinted better for them.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, for them. Those are moments that impacted them in a different way because maybe they didn't have that beach day. Or maybe the beach day for them wasn't as impactful. Things like that, I mean, we all see it from a different perspective. We're all going to have different experiences. We're all going to have different things that stay with us, But it's funny that you say that because, I mean, that's what we're going through now. The Easter season, the Lent season,
season of sacrifice, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is, I think, the most important time of the year to reconnect with Jesus, to reconnect with God. It's a moment.
Absolutely.
It's a moment of the year where, for these 40 days of Lent, for you to not focus on anything else, nothing else in this moment. I mean, throughout the whole year, you have your moments, right? You're connected with God throughout the whole year, but this time of the year, it's like you dedicate to focusing on Him and Him only, and other things. There should be nothing else during this moment. I mean, we're starting a podcast,
yeah, absolutely.
But there should be nothing else more important than your focus on Him during this time.
And I know what you mean, and we should be always focused on God, 24/7, Monday to Friday, Monday to Sunday, January to December, right? Yeah. But there's bigger emphasis during different times, right? Because even the Bible tells us that, during the First Testament, even in the Second Testament, right? It even speaks about the disciples celebrating holidays, being closer to God, right? During those holidays. And it is very important to always be close to God. But when you can take that time, especially now during Lent, right, to become that sacrifice, giving something up, right? And not only giving something up, but fasting and always remembering that you're here because of Him, because if not, we'll be wandering this world lost, and continue being sinful, even though we are sinners, right? Yeah. But we're still safe through Him, correct? Yeah. So it's always to remember that His sacrifice did so much for us that we should also sacrifice time for Him.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know this, but part of the fasting and the sacrifice and the giving something closer up. Yeah, there's also charity. You have to act. You have to also have charity within this time. I mean, yeah, we have charity throughout the whole year, but this is a dedicated time to charity. This is a moment. A lot of people, a lot of my friends, and me included, specifically during Thanksgiving, we want to help other people and help people who are, unfortunately they don't have the means that we have, or the blessings that everybody has. So we think of that charity moment of helping them during that time. But this moment, también, that's part of the Lent season, on not only what you're giving up, but also what you're also bringing to the table, as in helping each other, as a society, or as people of God,
as we get blessed, our blessings should also bless others, right?
Definitely. I mean, in reality, that's how it's supposed to be. And, it's something where a lot of people, even ourselves, it's almost since I was a kid, we've always separated our language with the rich people and the poor people. If the rich people help the poor people will have more. But then when we get our paychecks, we don't see it that way. When we get our paychecks, it's oh, well, I made this money. I worked hard for it.
I got to take care of mine.
Yeah, I got to take care of my responsibilities first. I don't have to give the way a rich person would be able to give. But you also have to think it's the same mentality, in the same way that we want the rich people to help the poor, help those in need, help those not only physically or financially, but also in spirit. Yep. Part of the charity would be for you to go spend some time with someone in a hospital.
Yeah, give with your heart. Give with your heart.
Or just go visit a friend you haven't seen in a while, and he doesn't get a lot of visitors. Spend time with that person. If you know one of your family members that's kind of not as social and things like that, spending time, giving him a little bit of the word of God and stuff like that, that's part of charity.
Helping that neighbor that's in need, you see that they can no longer cut their grass, trim their tree.
Definitely.
Get together with a group of friends, take care of that, Yeah. Be neighborly,
Yeah, it's me, myself included. When we think of charity, we think about the how can I physically help that person monetarily? During Thanksgiving, you're oh, we'll take them a turkey and we'll take them sides and this and that. But what about if they need more of us as spiritual beings than actually
that personal connection?
Yeah, oh man, they came over and they sat here and they talked to me. And we talked about anything. We talked about football. We talked about Christmas is coming up.
And you never know what they're going through, right? Because they could be in a very dark place, man.
You never know what someone's going through. That is the main thing. Like, sometimes you need to sit back and think about, like, we all are going through something. And in your healing, in your understanding of like what you're going through, can help someone else heal. It can help someone else. And it's something where like you just said about when you receive something, some blessings, part of that is a blessing for you. Part of what you receive, that understanding, share it with somebody, share it with them, you know. And we're not, and especially me, that you know, we're not perfect at all. Like, you know, I'm far away from it, but it's in the like knowing yourself and understanding yourself, the realization more than anything. It's like the realization, like act upon it. Action. Don't just, I have this thing when I go into my room, I have this thing written on the wall that says, you are not your thoughts, you are what you do. And for me, like, that's very impactful, because it's like, yeah, you can sit here all day and think about like, I wish I could do this, I wish I could do that, or like, it'll be nice to do this and nice to do that. But the end results of what you actually do is who you really are and what you actually did. You know, because it's something like, oh, that was a nice thought, but did you do it? You know, so
no, yeah. So don't live like it was yesterday. Live the moment like it's now and do it.
Yeah. So I mean, action is everything. You know, results are everything. Like do it, just do it. And sometimes there's a thing called paralysis and analysis, and me, I'm guilty of that. You know what I mean? Like, if I actually acted upon all the thoughts that I had to do, like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I would do this, I would do a lot more, you know. But I'm always thinking of doing those things. You just have to put it into action, you know, kind of like, you know, the launch of this podcast. It's like, it was a thought, and then it went through a lot of various times, and then it, you know, it went down a little bit into like, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna do it? This and that, and then came a moment of clarity, you know, where it's like, you know, here's this opportunity, let's do it, you know. And it's something where like I told you this morning, it's something where like, we know we want to do this, but all the doors and all the windows, and God has spoken, you know, to us and given us this opportunity through so many different means, and has spoken through so many different people, and has even like us buying equipment, we ran into like a whole bunch of different things. And it's like, there's a reason why God wants us to do what we're doing. And we feel in our hearts that there is, and there's a message there. And it's something where like, if he's given us this opportunity, let's do it. You know, it's something where it's like, you say yes. And even here, it's a type of charity. Even here, doing this.
I'm a really, really big believer about learning from doing, right? Yeah, we may read it, but you're not going to learn until you do it. Yeah, you're going to make mistakes, but you learn from those mistakes, right?
Yeah.
And then now you know what not to do or what to do better.
Yeah.
And doing is the only way to learn.
Yeah, definitely. That's something, I think that's one of your best ways to learn on, like, in general, everything, you know, because, you know, we spend a lot of our times like learning how to do something, right? Like, through a book, or like through like watching a video, and like we're learning.
And that's all theory when you're still reading and just watching. It's not, you don't place it into practice until you do it. And that's when you learn.
Yeah.
Because you may read it, but you might say, you know what? It didn't work that way. It works this way because I'm doing it.
Yeah. And it's kind of like how life works, you know, like, you know, I've heard this saying where it's like, or I say it sometimes, you know, where it's like, you can't learn how to drive a car unless you drive a car.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? You can't learn how to swim unless you jump in the water. You know, you could be like outside of the water, like practicing, but until you jump in, or until somebody guides you, or somebody teaches you, and somebody holds you, and like that's the only way, you know. And that goes for like life. A lot of things in life, it's the same thing, where like you have to actually do it, and then you're like, oh, okay, like I get it, and then you adjust, and then you learn like how not to do it, and then, you know. sink and swim. You know what I mean? But you have to see things in the same way where it's like, all right, if I want to get better at this, if I actually want to do this, if I actually want to be this or do that, actually I have to do it. And like cooking, you want to cook better.
Nowadays, everybody needs to do it.
If you want to cook
a lot
better,
of people are forgetting how to cook.
If you want to cook better, you gotta be willing to burn some stuff.
Yep.
A lot of people don't do it because they're like, I don't want to burn the food. I don't want to burn the macaroni. I don't want to burn this, but you have to get to that. Every good chef or every good mom at home who knows how to cook, or every good man that knows how to cook, or everybody who knows how to cook has their stories of how they burn things.
I've burnt steaks,
but you got to get past that. You got to get past those burnt dishes, and that goes for everything in life. That goes for everything that we do, even in relationships. It's like you got to get past that to get to where you want to get, because that's the only way we're gonna learn. That's the only way that it's not in theory. It's actually you put it into action. It's not the easiest, but it's the best and the only way you'll learn, because you're actually like in the fire. You're actually doing it, It's like military boot camp, It's like you could read a book about boot camp.
Oh,
but until you're there,
you're not gonna experience it.
But that's what I'm saying. Until you're there, you're like, okay, this is
I understand.
And sometimes, when we're afraid, say for instance, like this podcast, you're like, how's it gonna go? I don't. What we're gonna talk about, and like, how are we gonna set it up? We've never done this and that.
And just go with the flow. Just go with the flow and let it go, and you learn as you go.
And then you just press record and you go.
And we're new to this. Just let you all know we're new to this, and we're going with it. And like I said, provide your feedback, and we'll continue with it.
Yeah, definitely. And but yeah, I mean, that's definitely like a big lesson in life. Where I remember when I was in high school, I was taking psychology class, and there was a question that not a question, I'm sorry. It was a series of types of learning. I know there's a lot more types of learning, but there was 2 types of learning that I learned that day, that they were like, there's people who learn 2 types of ways. You could be either one. You choose the way you want to learn, right? And from that moment on, I still remember him saying it. That's another one of those clear memories. He goes, there's people who learn from experience. Oh, so there's a psychology story to this on like, there's a doorknob, right? There's a doorknob that if you walk up to it and you grab it, it shocks you, right? And then, because we do that in life, we've grabbed the doorknob before, plenty of times. So you look at the door and you're like, I know I shouldn't grab that doorknob, but maybe it won't shock me this time, or maybe it won't hurt as much. And you grab the doorknob and it shocks you
again.
But it's a type of learning, right? Because let's just say that was a life lesson, right? That your life lesson is don't grab the doorknob. Your life lesson is knock on the door. But maybe we don't want to knock on the door. We want to open the door ourselves, right? Because, I mean, and patience has a lot to do with it.
I'm going to kick that door down.
Yeah, But here, going back to the types of learning. So there's people who repeatedly grab the doorknob and they get shocked. Repeatedly grab the doorknob and get shocked. Some time passes and some people forget, or some people are like, maybe this time it won't shock me as much, or it won't shock me. They grab the doorknob again and it shocks them. But sooner or later they learn. Do not grab the doorknob. Knock. And a lot of people are stuck on learning that way. We call those people, you learn the hard way. And we know a lot of those people.
I think I was one of those.
No.
I think I might still be in certain areas.
We are those people. We are those people in a lot of different circumstances, right? Where we speed in a car. You know what I mean? We speed in a car because I'm a good driver. And that won't happen to me. We're going to learn the hard way if something happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and there's another type of person. There's another type of person who learns. And that's the type of person who learns from other people's experiences. So what do I mean by that? What did he mean by that? He says there's people watching the guy grab the doorknob and see him get shocked. And they're like, I ain't grabbing that doorknob. So they're learning from other people's mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And from that moment on in life, like from that moment on, I think I was like 16, 17 at the time. I was like, I don't want to be a hard-headed person no more. But I was like, I want to learn from other people's mistakes. I want to learn from what not to do. And I started to implement that into my life big time. I started to not keep telling myself it won't happen to me. I'm different, blah, 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 blah. It was more like that happened to them, that happened to them, that happened to them, that happened to them. And I'm a big guy of stats. It's like, well, it could happen to me. So there's a lot of things that I didn't do, a lot of mistakes I could have done in life that would have sent my life in a whole different direction, and I'm blessed to have heard that moment, him say that moment, because, when we're at that age, man, we're rebels and we
want to do what we want.
If I go back from that moment back there, I was a rebel and I was doing a lot of things that, usually young people do because you think you're tough and this and that. But from that moment, and I'm not going to say from that moment on, it was from that moment I started to learn, like, all right, if that person did those hard drugs and that person did those hard drugs and that person, and then I see, well, look how these people ended up. I don't want to end up like that. I saw results. I saw learning from other people's mistakes. That opened my eyes. It opened my eyes to want to embrace that type of learning. And I did. I did embrace, and I've been living like that since then. But there is a lot of other things like what we were saying. You're not gonna learn until you do it. We're still grabbing doorknobs all the time. We're still grabbing doorknobs. It's just a lot less now. It's a lot less, and when you grab the doorknob, you're no longer just feeling pain and saying, "Oh, it's a lesson."
No, yeah.
I forgot who said it. He said, if you don't learn from your mistakes, that's a mistake on its own.
And you're continue making
oh my God.
Mistakes.
Yeah, definitely, man.
And we are, look, at no point in time, we're always going to make mistakes.
All the time.
What are we learning from it, right?
Yeah, all the time. And I feel like we make mistakes, and I feel like I always feel horrible when we make those mistakes. But we're human, and scratch that. It's not an excuse to be human. I learned, I'm gonna put an asterisk on that. I learned something about that. We don't want to blame humans or human instincts on that's why I'm like that. There's a whole nother spiritual level to that, because we've seen humans come very close to Christ-like, and not that they were close to they're like Jesus, but they did what he said we should do, and they didn't have excuses of it's a human. No, we saw how we were made in his image, man. He gave us the ability to get very close to the way he wants us to be, and that's the real meaning of human. When we fall away from that, it's animalistic. We go more with the animals because they don't know what they're doing. You know what I mean? So to be human is to be closer to who God is, because he put those gifts in us. I forgot my train of thought of what I was talking about, but that right there was that's what I learned, because I did grow up hearing people say that, and I even said it myself on oh, I'm human, When I make a mistake, makes me feel worse when I make the mistake twice, or I continue, or I make similar types of mistakes, because I'm like, man, you know what you're supposed to do. You know how you're supposed to act. You know how you're supposed to think, Louis. What's happening here? I'm a person who I stop and I think and I think and I think. And sometimes it takes me a couple days, sometimes a couple hours. But I do, the best moments of life is realizations I did mess up. And I try to figure out the why. It's usually because you're not focused, Louis. You're not focused on first of all, God. You're thinking more of yourself. It's almost like you're it's in reality, it should be always focused. Your focus should always be on God. And when it starts to zoom back onto you, we start making those mistakes. We start grabbing those doorknobs because it's I'm grabbing the doorknob. I'm not knocking on the door for God. I'm not knocking on the door and hoping he opens it. It's like, I'm going to open this door. I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah.
Exactly. Those are doorknob moments.
And it's all right to take control, but you need to know when, right?
Yeah, definitely. Take control when you know that it is God giving you the green light. It is God opening that door for you. Take control. When you say, I'm going to take control. When you say, when it becomes about me, I got control of this. And it has nothing to do with even like involved with God. That's when we start making those mistakes. That's when we start grabbing those doorknobs. Absolutely. You know what I mean? And I could you could always go back and think about like, why did that happen? And it's like, because it was about you. And that's the
We're
part.
so focused on this and not this.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something, we'll continue learning, and, we'll never stop learning. We'll never stop growing. But we also could always try to stop and think and remember it's not about me, especially like at this point of our lives, man. Like we should, like the me factor should be like, all right, if I'm gonna say me, like what am I? How am I gonna help them? How am I gonna help? Maybe that's where the I should be. Like how am I supposed to act? How could I help them? How could I put my talents to service? This podcast is about that. This podcast is about like, how can we help other people, either through advice or experience or stories or something they needed to hear, or I mean, in general, you know what I mean? It's like the I gets reflected out. That it's almost like saying like, I'm done with like, what about me and my career and my future trips and like me, I want to go here and it's like, what does God want me to do? Especially this time of Lent, like, Father, what do you want me to do? What do you need from me? In reality, like in this time of Lent, we're like a little bit halfway or past halfway, and
about 3 weeks left, right?
Yeah, I'm starting to see where my life is heading. I'm starting to see where my life is going, and I like it. I love it. I love where it's going, but I think I need to give more. I think I need to say yes even more. And that's not just doing like a drastic, like some people do drastic changes where like, you know what, I'm going to spend more time, doing this and doing that and like going to church more and this and that, blah, blah, blah. They're doing it physically, but are they doing it spiritually?
And is it in your heart?
Are you
not
really
just doing it just to check mark a box, right?
Exactly, that's what I mean.
And a lot of people do that, and I'm not saying I used to do it, and I'm sure I still do it now at times. We just want to check off that box. Well, I did it. I'm like, but that's not the right way.
I went to church, check.
Yeah, we shouldn't be just Sunday Christians. Right?
It should be like, is God in my heart this Sunday? Did I really connect with Him? Was I quiet enough to hear Him? Did I stop talking when I was praying? Was I listening for Him?
And I know our minds can go 100 miles an hour.
Exactly. Oh, especially in that time.
Well.
But God speaks in the silence. And then if you're like, I did, check. And you got to check yourself. You got to check yourself.
All the time.
Because that, in reality, that's where it's at. That's where the magic happens. It's like, and
you got to learn to be humble. You got to learn how to be humble. A lot of people, they're checking that mark. Oh, I'm doing great. I'm like, hey, humble yourself, man. Before you get smacked down, humble yourself.
I mean, it's in reality, man. Like that's the biggest thing about like, as an individual, like that's the biggest thing. Like, you are your own best friend. Are you there for yourself? Are you there when you need yourself? Do you support yourself? What kind of words of encouragement, words of affirmation? How do you love yourself? A lot of people think having a good time, like just giving yourself a good time, is loving yourself. Like, oh yeah, I went to David Buster's and I had a great time. I love myself. I love my experience and my independence and this and that. And it's like, how do you love yourself in those quiet moments where you're just sitting there with yourself? Like, are you at peace with yourself, or are you at war up here with yourself, with doubts, with depression? You know what I mean? And loving yourself is in the same way that you would want to be there for somebody who's going through that. Mm-hmm. You gotta be there for yourself. You know what I mean? It's hard because sometimes we find ourselves like not remembering ourselves. Like we want to be there for a lot of people. And it's like,
you got to give yourself that time as well.
Yeah, because at the same time, that's when we start making mistakes, because it's one of those things where like we're making sure everybody's okay. Have you eaten? Or,
but you haven't eaten. I
haven't eaten myself. Yeah. And it's that
you haven't rested.
I haven't rested. Like all kinds of stuff. You can give yourself all kinds of excuses. It's that like that oxygen in a plane moment where the oxygen masks drop. And it says on the thing, like, you got to give yourself oxygen first before you give someone else oxygen. And vice versa for somebody else. They got to give oxygen to themselves before they help you. And a lot of the times, man, like, you forget to give yourself oxygen. And in not giving yourself oxygen,
you're depriving yourself.
You're depriving yourself, and it's a downward spiral. It's a downward spiral on yourself, and you don't understand why. Well, maybe because you're lacking oxygen spiritually. It's like you want to be there for somebody, for a lot of other people, your cousins and this and that. You give great advice to everybody else, but you can't give yourself great advice.
And I think most of the world is like that.
Yeah, I find myself being negative with myself all the time. All the time. Like drill instructor kind of thing. Like I find myself being like, yeah, I'm the hardest on myself than I am with anybody else. But I got to think about also like, if I was doing that to someone else, if I was just hard on them, like, you got to do this, you got to do that, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't give them any kind of like positive reinforcements, if I didn't give them any kind of like words of encouragement and this and that, what is that person going to like think of the advice? They're going to shut down. They're going to shut off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not your intention. It's not your meaning, but it's the same thing for ourselves. If we're just like pounding ourselves like with like criticism, Louis, you shouldn't have done this. You should do that. Louis, you should do this. You should be more motivated. You should have gone to the gym. You should not eat that, blah, blah, blah. What about like the soft or the understanding Louis to yourself? Mm-hmm. Like, hey, dude, you're doing too much. Calm down.
And you hear a lot of it these days. You hear self-care. But it's not only self-care. Like with a lot of people say, oh, go to the spa. I'm like,
mental care.
Exactly. You need that mental clarity. You need that. Sometimes you need that alone time by yourself. You, God, yourself in a room. If it's your patio, if it's your room, if it's your office, but a quiet moment where you can just clarify your thoughts. Stop thinking about the everyday, what am I going to eat tomorrow? What am I going to wear? That will be provided. It will be there. Yeah. Worry about right now. Don't worry about yesterday.
No, definitely. Definitely, you're right. It puts me in moments where like I know that I used to do it a lot more. I don't do it a lot anymore. And I think that I need to, I want to, and I will. I will start like doing that more. I remember I used to love going to the beach. I used to go to the beach, like South Beach, or I used to go somewhere there's water, and I used to sit there, for a long time and just like soak in the moment. Like I used to just enjoy the moment, and just like I could be doing so many other things that like we say we got things to do,
Time is precious, right?
But if you never stop and give yourself that moment, and it doesn't have to be the beach, it could just be your backyard. Sitting outside in a chair, listening to the breeze, listening to nothing. We need those moments.
Yeah, like mine is being outside in my patio, just listening to the breeze.
I don't have enough of those moments. I'll be honest. I don't have enough of those moments. I always, You know, a lot of the time I'm like that. From Alice in Wonderland, like I'm late, and it's not that I'm physically saying I'm late. It's just, I guess the biological clock inside me is like, you got to keep moving, you got to keep doing things, you got to keep going here, going there, this and that, and even like doom scrolling.
Yeah, because you feel that you need a purpose, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes you need let me put this aside.
Yeah, even when you doom scroll, you don't stop to think. You don't stop your mind from thinking because you're like, oh, you're watching all these videos, and like your mind is just going. That's not a part of relaxing. That's not a part of like just being there for yourself. And I think that, again, it goes back to like the oxygen mask thing.
Not giving
like,
yourself that time, that air, right?
Let yourself reset. Let yourself calm down. Let yourself think about who you're becoming. And what you need. What do you need? What do you like? What do you need in your life? What do you need at that moment to be able to breathe? If something is on, like, something's on your heart, something's on your chest, something's on your mind, where like, I need to do this, or I need to. It's almost like saying, you get that answer. What do you need?
Yeah, when you self-meditate, right? You know, spiritually, even when you're trying to work out a problem or get clarity, you need that self-meditating time. Yeah. You really need it. It's the only way to get through it. Because just being in a noisy area, being around too many people, your mind is going at 100 miles an hour, right? Yeah. So, I mean, and I know a lot of our viewers, I'm sure they go through it just like we do, just like everybody else in the world. Yeah. We need to learn to pause, take a break, relax, get that mental clarity.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys, if we just get too deep too quick. I know this is just our second episode, you know, but we always have a lot to say. I know that, you know, we'll cover other things throughout different episodes. We'll keep it lighthearted. We won't get as deep, you know, we'll have more fun with it. You know, you'll notice that, you know, we'll start talking about other things, kind of like the eggs, you know, and it'll be it won't be as deep. I know this isn't for everybody. But at the same time, you know, please like and share our videos,
and comment. Like, please leave comments.
Please comment, like our videos, share the videos, and please share them with people, you know, and like tell them at the same time, you know, we're gonna be covering different things, because those people at the same time, they don't know us, and you know, it's something where we would love to share this experience with them, and like. At the same time, you know, it's almost like we're sharing our experiences, but we're learning and we're growing as we go. At the same time as we go.
With you.
Yeah, with you. And, you know, it's such a blessing.
Absolutely. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Click that button right there. We'll be here again for our next episode. I hope you're with us. I'm Dennis.
I'm Luis.
And you guys have a great one.
All right. Take care.
Soundtrack.